need a contract because we don't live in a perfect world. It's fine. But spend more time on the agreement through negotiations. And then, afterwards, you bind it with a contract. Let's try and reduce the legal aspects and spend more time on the agreement aspects of a relationship. Am I making sense? These are three different concepts, colleagues. Please remember, negotiation, agreement, and a contract. If you get the agreement right, believe you me, this is just really not important. But you need it because we live in a world that obviously the trust factor is not there. How do you go around doing this? Obviously, I'm sure a lot of you know this. They need identification. What is it that you want? Define the specificities. What is the detail behind what you want? And then you search for the partner. Please, here, do a lot of homework. There's a tendency, thanks to Google, these days a lot of our colleagues don't do their homework. Google will tell you a lot of stories. I've seen relationships that has been specified and the supplier doesn't even exist. And the government has paid. I've seen relationships where, thanks to the internet, there's been very nice website, everything has been done. And then the government engages. Unfortunately, what has been said is not what happens in practice. When I was in Kampala, one of the ministers asked me, so what do you want us to do when it comes to selecting a supplier? I said, you should, rather than spending more time on what the supplier is telling you, go to the supplier's customer. Go to 3 or 4 of them and find out, is what they are saying true or not? Don't just rely on Google because they might not exist. He said, okay, it comes at a cost. And I said, it might come at a cost, but if the government wants to build something long-term, they should provide the money for you to be visiting more of the supplier's customers so that you get a first-hand view of whether they are capable or not. We also tend to go for big names. I know companies would, like my colleagues from McKinsey, our chief executive like McKinsey and all the big guys, for a reason. Obviously, if something goes wrong, they selected the best. But are they really the best? Think about it. You know, sometimes small can also be good, but it comes at a more, maybe a higher price. And that's where you can develop local capacity. You need to prepare and plan. Do your own independent research, but here it is key. They're planning for negotiations. This is where Africa, we fall short. A lot of organizations, government departments, they don't plan for that. They just get up and then go. And when you go, you are at a disadvantage. You need to be planning for that negotiation, how you are going to go in there with a common purpose. I've been in negotiations watching from afar where even the team disagree among themselves, sitting in the room. That is not healthy. It is not healthy. Look at what is happening now in South Africa, which for me is rather unfortunate. They want to create jobs. Minister for Tourism has been complaining. Home Affairs, also because of what happened, the xenophobia, they want to cut migrants, which is good. Economic migrants. Yeah. South Africa cannot afford to have so many economic migrants. But for me, having read it through, I said, but they sit around the same table. Why can't they see the gaps? Minister wants to bring more people because when more people come here, they spend money, which feeds industry. Now, you're coming up with a visa requirement. which means that you need to go to certain places before you can come in. And I'm saying, but is this not obvious that there has to be a common balance? Why should it be played in public? They have to sit around, discuss it before it comes into public. This morning on 702, everybody is complaining about the road tolls. Of course it has to be paid. The roads has to be maintained. South Africa has some of the best roads in the world. I've traveled and I know. I mean, your roads, sometimes I get worried when I even drive on it. Because when you are driving in Africa, you have to stay awake because of the potholes. Otherwise, you end up in one, you will never come out. Here, you don't see potholes, which sometimes worries me, because then I become very lazy driving because it's so smooth. But the way and manner in which negotiation is not just about colleagues, external parties talking, internal. Ministers can negotiate with each other. Now, what has happened for such a brilliant idea is being sort of ridiculed in public, which for me is rather unfortunate. There's nothing wrong with paying for what you are using. But through negotiations, the messaging could have been much, much better, and people could have understood. That is all negotiations.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.